20 missing persons who were found in unbelievable ways. Some vanish without a trace. No leads, no bodies, no explanations. But sometimes, just sometimes, the missing come back in ways no one can explain. From a voicemail 10 years after a presumed death to a child found inside a painting. These aren't just stories, they're the truth. Let's begin. Case 1. The voicemail that shouldn't exist. Name: Marcus Hall. Missing since May 2008. Location: Reno, Nevada. Found 2019 through a phone call that never happened. Marcus Hall disappeared during a weekend camping trip with friends. His car was found abandoned. His backpack was floating in the nearby creek. And his phone? Crushed. The official cause? Drowned. Accidental. Case closed. But in 2019, 11 years later, his sister Rebecca received a voicemail at 3:12 a.m. The voice said, "Don't believe the river. I never left." It was Marcus's voice. Same pitch, same tone. Even the way he pronounced her name, Bex, was identical. She reported it immediately. Phone records showed no incoming call. Not just from Marcus, from anyone. But the voicemail was real. It existed. Audio experts examined it. They confirmed it had no metadata, as if it was recorded from nowhere. Even creepier, at the end of the message, you can hear something faint. Water dripping, footsteps, a door creaking open, then silence. Police reopened the case. 3 months later, Marcus's name popped up again on a motel check-in log. In Idaho, he signed with his old handwriting. But by the time police got there, room 6 was empty, except for one thing: a soaking wet backpack with a torn label. Property of Marcus Hall. Case 2. The child in the painting. Name: Eleanor Ellie Price. Missing since July 1991. Location: Asheville, North Carolina. Found 2021 in a place no one thought to look. Ellie was 5 years old when she vanished from her backyard. Last seen chasing a butterfly near the hedge. A full-scale search. Bloodhounds. Helicopters. Nothing. No suspects. No ransom. No evidence. Until 30 years later, an art collector bought a painting at an estate auction in upstate New York. It was a portrait, oil on canvas, of a little girl standing in a meadow. He hung it in his hallway. Then one day, his 6-year-old daughter asked, "Why is that girl crying?" He looked closer. The girl's eyes, though painted, seemed wet. And behind her, barely visible, the shadow of a man in a suit. Disturbed, he posted the photo on Reddit. That's when someone noticed. The girl looked exactly like Eleanor Price. Same red bow, same freckles, same crooked tooth. An AI facial recognition tool confirmed a 96% match to Ellie's childhood photo. The artist? A reclusive painter named Gerald Kinlawn, who had no children of his own and died in 2002. Investigators searched his records. In his journal, they found this line. She said her name was Ellie. "I didn't ask questions." To this day, no one knows where or how he found her, or what happened to her afterward. But hidden in the back of the canvas, under a second layer of paint, was another face, painted over. A woman, older, aged about 35. DNA tests are ongoing. Case 3. The call from inside the freezer. Name: Calvin Reed. Missing since December 2015. Location: Detroit, Michigan. Found 2023 with a phone that had no battery. Calvin was 47 when he disappeared during a snowstorm. He left work, never arrived home. His car was found buried in snow a week later, keys still in the ignition. Presumed dead. Then in 2023, his daughter Rachel was defrosting their old garage freezer. Not plugged in for years. She opened the lid and screamed, because inside was a cell phone. Calvin's old flip phone, still intact. Screen cracked, battery removed. She turned it over, and etched into the back was a note. "Still here." They powered the phone on with a spare battery. It booted up, and on the screen, one new voice message from December 14th, 2015, the day he vanished. She hit play. You can hear wind, heavy breathing, then Calvin whispering, "I'm not where you think. It wasn't an accident. They put me here." The police listened. The location was traced from the static. It was a factory, abandoned since 2012. Inside, under the basement floor, they found human remains. They're still waiting on DNA confirmation. But the voice? No doubt about it. It was Calvin. Case 4. The Twitter account that solved itself. Name, Daria Keene. Missing since January 2010. Location, Seattle, Washington. Found, 2020, on her own Twitter page. Daria was a 19-year-old college student when she vanished on her way to a study group. Last ping from her phone, near a bookstore, then silence. 10 years passed. Then her Twitter account, dormant since 2009, suddenly posted a single tweet. I never left. Followers thought it was hacked. But then came another. He lives above the bookstore. And another. The Green Door, Room 4C. Seattle PD tracked it immediately. The bookstore still existed. And above it, an apartment building, Room 4C. They broke in. Inside, chained to a bed, was Daria Keene. Alive. Thin. Pale. But alive. She hadn't touched a phone in 10 years. So how did she tweet? Turns out, she wrote messages on scraps of paper and flushed them through the old plumbing system. One ended up in the basement where an IT tech was renovating pipes. He found one message that read, "Tweet this from a Daria Keene. Say, I'm alive." He did, and that's what saved her. Her captor? A retired professor from her college. He died of a heart attack the night before police arrived. Meaning, he might have seen that tweet too, and panicked. Case 5. The prisoner who was never reported missing. Name, John du 847. Missing since, unknown. Location, unknown. Found, 2022, in a place designed to be forgotten. In 2022, a maintenance worker at an abandoned detention facility in West Virginia heard something odd. Tapping, then a cough. He called local authorities. They found a sealed room, welded shut from the outside. Inside was a man, mid-40s, emaciated, clothed in tattered overalls. No ID, no prints on file, no name. They called him John Doe 847. He spoke softly, said he'd been there for a long time. When asked how long, he answered, since the building was active, since they stopped checking the cells. But here's the strange part. The facility had been shut down in 1996, meaning he had possibly been locked in for 26 years. He had no memory of family, no record of being arrested, no missing persons report. And yet, he knew everything about the prison's former layout, even the names of guards, shifts, routines. One officer said, "It's like he was the building." To this day, no one knows who John Doe 847 is. And when asked if he wanted to leave, he simply said, "No, I'm safer here." 5 people, all thought to be dead, all found in ways no one could predict. But what if there are more? What if some never wanted to be found? And what if the next one reaches out to you? In part 2, we uncover a man who predicted his own reappearance in a dream, a child who vanished in 1994 and was spotted in the background of a YouTuber's video, and a woman who says she escaped her own funeral. Subscribe, because what's gone doesn't always stay gone. They were declared dead, mourned, buried, forgotten, but they were never really gone. They resurfaced in the most unimaginable ways, in the background of videos, inside sealed rooms, or in dreams that came true. But not all of them were supposed to. Case 6, the man who dreamed his own return. Name, Derek Crowley. Missing since April 2011. Location, Charlotte, North Carolina. Found, 2021. After predicting the exact date, he'd be found in a dream. Derek Crowley, 29, disappeared while walking home from a bar. His keys were found in a gutter. His phone still in his apartment. No signs of a break-in. No evidence. Just vanished. His fiancée, Melina, told police something strange. She said, "He told me the night before, if I ever disappear, don't panic. I'll come back on April 9th, 2021. Everyone thought it was a joke. But on April 9th, 2021, 10 years later to the day, Derek was found, wandering barefoot outside a gas station in rural Tennessee. He looked exactly the same. Same haircut, no signs of aging, and he didn't remember anything. When shown a calendar, he panicked. He thought it was still 2011. Doctors found something else. Tiny scars along his temples. Like surgical marks. Like someone had opened his skull. CT scans showed neural implants, foreign objects. Not standard tech. Not medically approved. They were removed and sent to analysis. And they vanished in transit. To this day, Derek doesn't remember anything beyond April 8th, 2011. But sometimes he screams in his sleep. And when his fiancée asked what the dream was, he whispered, "It's not a dream. They're trying to take me back." Case 7. The YouTube background girl. Name, Lacey Nunez. And she was holding an old teddy bear that matched the one Lacey had when she went missing. Reddit exploded. Thousands compare the photos side by side. It was her. FBI got involved. They tracked the footage timestamp and scanned traffic cams in the area. And guess what? The girl didn't appear on any other angle. Not on city cams. Not on private cams. Not on any bystanders' phones. Just Ryan's footage. Investigators reached out to him. But before they could meet, he died in a motorcycle accident. His camera was smashed. SD card destroyed. But here's the thing. When his channel was archived, a hidden video was found in the back end. It was never uploaded publicly. It showed Ryan walking through the park again hours later. And, standing under a tree, the same girl, staring directly at the camera, smiling. Then the screen goes black. Case 8. The girl who escaped her own funeral. Name, Zoe Hartman. Missing since November 2013. Location, Salem, Oregon. Found, 2022, alive, after her funeral had already taken place. Zoe vanished after school one afternoon. Security footage showed her walking out the back gate, heading toward the woods. She never came home. For months later, skeletal remains were found. DNA tests confirmed it was her. The family held a funeral. Closure, mourning, acceptance. Until 9 years later, a woman walked into a police station in Colorado. She said her name was Zoe Hartman. Same name, same birthmark, same crooked pinky. Only one problem. She was supposed to be dead. DNA was rerun. It matched exactly. It was her. So, who was buried? The body was exhumed. Turns out, the original DNA test was contaminated. It wasn't Zoe's. The real body has still not been identified. Zoe had been kidnapped and trafficked across multiple states. She escaped. She survived. But when shown a photo of the coffin from her funeral, she whispered, "That's not me. But I've seen her before." How? She won't say. She's now in protective custody. But rumor has it, she's sometimes whack. Up at night screaming, "She wants to take my place back." Case 9. A live stream from the basement. Name, Trevor King. Missing since August 2002. Location, Kansas City, Missouri. Found, 2023, during a Reddit live stream. Trevor was 17 when he disappeared on the way to band practice. He texted, "I'm almost there." Then nothing. No phone. No buck. No sightings. In 2023, a Reddit user named user_1919end began a live stream titled, "They said not to tell. I'm tired of not telling." The video was black at first, then slowly brightened to show a man in his late 30s. Long hair, dirty clothes, deep-eye bags. He whispered, "My name is Trevor King. I've been in a basement for 21 years. Thousands joined the stream. He described a concrete room, a metal door, and a voice that gave him food through a slit. He said, "They told me I was dead, that if I ever escaped, I'd be killed." The signal cut out. Reddit mods tried to trace the stream. It was encrypted, but one viewer recognized something in the background. A wall-mounted circuit breaker with a rare manufacturer code. It led to an address. A farmhouse outside of town, abandoned for a decade. Police stormed it. In the basement, Trevor. Same clothes from 2002. Same shoes. Same backpack. Still alive. When asked who took him, he whispered, "They weren't people." And then he shut down. He hasn't spoken since. Case 10. The child who found herself. Name, Ava Monroe. Missing since March 2010. Location, Portland, Oregon. Found, 2024, in her own memory. Ava was 4 years old when she vanished from a daycare playground. 1 second she was playing tag. The next, gone. No witnesses. No signs of struggle, just vanished. The case baffled investigators. Until 2024, Ava, now 18, walked into a hospital claiming her real name and everything she remembered. But here's what shocked doctors. She had been raised by another family, with a new name, new birth certificate, new school records. She believed her name was Hannah Burke, but 2 weeks prior, she had a dream. She was back on that playground. She saw herself being led away by a woman in a blue hoodie. Then the woman said, "Your name is Ava Monroe." When she woke, she checked the local missing persons registry and saw herself. That's when everything came flooding back. She remembered the house, the basement where she was kept for 3 years, then the second family that raised her. She asked them where she came from. They disappeared that night. Ava is now in therapy, but something she said made investigators pause. "She still visits me, the woman in the blue hoodie, in my dreams." When asked what she wants, Ava said, "She says I was meant to stay lost." These stories raise questions no one can answer. What if the missing don't stay missing because something brings them back? What if there's a pattern? Because next, we dive into 5 stories where the same person appeared in multiple disappearances. Same face, same clothes, same chilling smile, even though he died in 1977. Subscribe, the man in every missing case. Because this time, the mystery isn't who disappeared, it's who made them disappear. Last time we told you about Ava Monroe. She remembered her true identity after a haunting dream and saw a woman in a blue hoodie whisper, "You were meant to stay lost." But Ava said something else, something everyone missed until now. She said he was standing behind her, watching, smiling. When asked who he was, she pointed to an old photo in the police archive. The man she saw died in 1977. Case 11, the man in the mirror. Name, Arthur Delgrave. Died, October 12, 1977. Cause, unknown. Found dead in a locked room. First appearance, connected to 4 disappearances since 1991. Arthur Delgrave was a janitor at Briar Hall Psychiatric Hospital in Maine. In 1977, nurses reported he had an unnatural obsession with certain patients. Not physically abusive, but strange. He would draw their faces over and over. He was eventually fired. A week later, his body was found in a locked staff bathroom. No wounds, no drugs, no explanation. The mirror above the sink had been shattered inward and scratched into the porcelain with what looked like a key. They don't leave. I watch. I remember. The case was closed until 1991. That's when 10-year-old Jordan Mills went missing. And just before she vanished, her teacher said she had been drawing the same face in every notebook. A gaunt man, deep-set eyes, crooked smile. Later, Ava Monroe would draw the exact same face years later. And in 2023, when Trevor King was rescued from that basement livestream, see Part 2, a drawing was found on the wall behind him. Same man, same face. In fact, his livestream backdrop, the one we all saw, it wasn't a concrete wall. It was a mural of Arthur Delgrave. Case 12, the man who keeps appearing. Between 1991 and 2024, 7 missing children across the U.S. reported the same thing upon being found. They remember a man watching them from corners, never speaking, just watching. One girl said, "He wasn't a person, he was a rule." Another said, "He waits in the places we forget." But here's the part that broke the case wide open. Ava Monroe, Trevor King, and Zoe Hartman, the girl who escaped her own funeral, were each shown a sketch lineup of historical staff at Briar Hall Psychiatric. All 3 pointed to Arthur Delgrave, even though none of them were ever in Maine. None were ever told his name, and he's been dead for nearly 50 years. That's when the FBI launched Project Recall, a secret task force reinvestigating Delgrave's ties to missing persons cases. They discovered something horrifying. Every victim who reported seeing him had lived in a town within 5 miles of a closed-down institution. And in each institution's archive, there were unauthorized keys logged under one name. A. Delgrave. Case 13, the face in the footage. In 2018, a cold case investigator named Sean Riley was reviewing hours of security footage from old kidnappings. In a 2005 case from Chicago, he noticed something strange. Frame 1867. A child walks home from school, then pulls up, but just before the abduction, a man walks past. Black coat, limp his right leg, slight smile. He stares straight at the camera. Frame 1868, he's gone. Same thing happened in a 1998 case from Oregon. Exact same man, exact same limp. He doesn't appear before or after, only right before the disappearance. Sean compiled 6 cases with the same anomaly. He brought it to his supervisor. They shelved the project. 6 months later, San disappeared. His car was found on a bridge. Driver's seat soaked, keys in the ignition, and in the passenger seat, a pencil sketch. Arthur Delgrave's face, smiling. Case 14, the voices on the tape. In July 2024, during a podcast episode on unresolved kidnappings, the host played voicemail clips from survivors. One was from Lacey Nunez, the girl spotted in the background of a YouTube video. See part 2. In the voicemail, a deep, slow voice can be heard whispering, "Lacey, don't move. He's here." She gasps. Then you hear footsteps, and another voice, low, but almost amused, saying, "They forget. I don't." Sound engineers enhance the clip. What they found is disturbing. The same voice had been layered into 3 other recordings from unrelated victims over 20 years. Same inflection, same vocal rhythm, same sentence. "They forget. I don't." Case 15, the man who's not dead. And then came the twist. In September 2024, a retired FBI agent released a private notebook. Inside were photos, grainy black and white, of a man arrested in Texas in 1996 for trespassing in an abandoned children's hospital. He gave no name, but when processed, the guard wrote down one note. Said he worked here, knew every door code, called himself Delgrave. He wasn't fingerprinted. He was released 24 hours later. Because no charges stuck, he disappeared from a system. But the photo matches every sketch, every survivor memory, every blurry livestream appearance. The man who died in 1977 had walked free in 1996. And now, he's been seen again. On October 3rd, 2024, a nanny cam in Wyoming captured a man watching a child sleep from the hallway. Security system alert popped. Motion detected. 3:13 a.m. Parents were asleep. Doors locked. No signs of break-in. He stares at the camera, then disappears mid-frame. No father, no bled, just gone. The timestamp? 3:13 nachts. The exact time Marcus Hall's voicemail arrived 11 years after his death. Coincidence? Or calling card? Arthur Delgrave died in 1977, but his face keeps showing up. In sketches, in memories, in moments before someone vanishes. And now, there's evidence he's not acting alone. In Part 4, we investigate the Delgrave files, unsealed government documents hinting at network, the 5 disappearances that overlapped in time and space, and a final victim who returned with one chilling message. He's not after me anymore. He's coming for you. Subscribe now. You might become part of it. Previously, we met the man who shouldn't exist, Arthur Delgrave, dead in 1977, seen again in 1996, then again in 2024, every time near a missing child. But when we opened the Delgrave files, we found something worse. He was never acting alone. Case 16, the files were never meant to be read. In 2024, a whistleblower from the Department of Behavioral Containment, yes, that's a real thing, leaked 19 pages of internal reports, marked top secret / Briar Hall facility / D prime level. Inside, logs of 32 non-recovered children, hand-drawn floor plans. And this, Delgrave is not the source. He is the signal. What does that mean? Turns out, Arthur was the messenger, a herald for something worse, something they only referred to as the room with no door. Case 17, the survivors who all drew the same room. Across 5 states, 9 survivors of child abduction were asked to draw their memories. No collaboration, no contact. Every single child drew a room with no windows, no doors, a mirror on each wall, and one chair always turned away. When asked who sat in it, every one of them said, "I'm not supposed to see him." But Delgrave said he was coming. Case 18, the audio that shouldn't exist. In the Delgrave files was a corrupted audio file labeled briarhall_mx.mp3. After 6 hours of reconstruction, audio engineers recovered 43 seconds. Here's what played: distorted noise, footsteps, then a whispering voice. We take the forgotten. We offer memory. We replace. They forget. Then silence. Then the sound of a child humming. Then, "I remember you." And then a third voice. Deep, mechanical, echoing across what sounds like mirrors cracking. Memory is a prison, and you left the door open. Case 19, the hidden camera reveal. The most damning footage came from a house in Wisconsin. The family installed a nanny cam after their daughter claimed, "The mirror man watches me sleep." At 3:33 a.m., the camera activated. In the reflection of the mirror, a man stood in the hallway. But not just one. There were 5 reflections, each moving out of sync. Then, a 6th mirror caught movement in the girl's room. She sat up, eyes closed, humming. Same tune from the audio file. And behind her, the chair, facing the camera, empty, until the footage glitched, and the next frame showed the chair occupied, and the girl was gone. Case 20, the message from the future. In December 2024, a man walked into a news station in Philadelphia. He claimed he was from 2039, and that Delgrave was only the beginning. He said a sequence of disappearances would lead to something called the memory collapse. His proof? He had a list. Names, ages, and dates, all matching past victims. At the bottom, one name stood out. Ava Monroe, disappearance, pending. But Ava was alive, in custody, safe, monitored 24/7. So, how could she disappear again? Authorities confronted her with the list. She smiled and said, "I already did." Then she vanished, on live surveillance, from a locked room. No doors opened, no windows smashed, just one blink, and she was gone. We searched for 5 missing persons. We found them, but they came back different, changed, scarred, haunted by a man who shouldn't exist. Arthur Delgrave wasn't a man. He was a key to a prison of mirrors, a cycle of memory and forgetting, a system we accidentally broke open. We thought the stories ended when they came home, but maybe the real horror was what they brought back with them. Black screen, a child's voice. "He told me you'd be watching this." Whispering grows louder. Then a final voice, calm, familiar. "I remember you."